because of the history of Kenya being a coffee producer, but not necessarily a coffee consuming nation. It's a tea consuming nation. So if someone invites you to one of their farms, the farmer will likely offer you, after a wonderful visit to their coffee farm, glasses of tea. Glasses of tea. So they don't have the direct experience of their coffee as a drinking beverage. And because of that, the whole idea of treating growing coffee as a craft is not really woven into the culture of Kenyan coffee. And that's something that we want to change. We want farmers to be proud of the coffee that they grow, the coffee that they serve. We also bring samples of, for example, the Highwire that Steve roasted of Rhino Farms. This will be something that Kimiti will bring back to Nakuru County and hand to Jacob so they can taste their own coffee. By having an end-to-end control of the entire process, we can actually go back to the farmer, have them understand how all the drivers are working to produce the quality that we have in the coffee, and then improve the system so that positive feedback loop is something that no other specialty coffee can do. They're not able to do it because they're not end-to-end. This is really important to have this end-to-end integrated way of delivering great coffee from Kenya directly to the roaster. Here's to Rhino Farms, Undugu.
Undugu Rhino.
Undugu Rhino.
Undugu Rhino.
So what's so important about this whole project, and actually goes back to one of the initial conversations that Raj and I had, Undugu is disrupting a process of buying and selling coffee that has existed in Kenya for a long time. Sort of a post-colonial structure that really anonymizes the producer and lets all of the money sort of flow to the top. I love Kenyan coffees. I've always loved Kenyan coffees. I hate buying coffee in Kenya because I generally had to just buy in a generic lot that was brought in by an importer that was sold by an exporter that got anonymized somewhere in an auction, and maybe I knew could buy from the same cooperative every year. And for a coffee company that wants to have deeper connection to producers, have deeper connection to coffee, buying coffee in Kenya was frustrating in that way. So what Undugu's been able to do is connect through Kimiti's connections there directly with estate producers who are growing, cultivating, working their own coffee, but would generally sell their coffee and it would just disappear, and they would not know where it ended up.
Yeah, one other thing I would want to add to what Raja said is the farmer is at the center of what we do at Undugu. So you can see this is Rhino Farm. We put the farmer first, and this is something different from what other people are doing. And they're basically trading, yeah? So when they buy the coffee either at the exchange or through a direct seller in Kenya, the farmer is forgotten. You cannot trace it to a specific farmer. So Steve knows this guy. Steve has a phone, I can pick a call and call the guy. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to build here. That we are not middlemen, we are not brokers, we are connectors. We're basically connecting the farmer and the roaster.
Some are hiding under here.
Yeah.
And this is
Abin means a kilo.
The elevation in Nakuru is incredibly high. Something grown that high, I think just has a lot of opportunity to be superlative in the next couple years. So this is some of the first roasts that we're doing from the Rhino Farm, a producer named Jacob Kabiri in Nakuru, outside of the town of Nakuru. What really drew me to this coffee more than before I even tasted it was just the story that Raj and Kimiti told me about Jacob and his dedication to the farm. He's a relatively new coffee producer on this estate, and so this represents some of the very first coffee that he's exported, and I see tremendous potential in this coffee.
to get the best in terms of yield and in quality, right from planting. We're looking at best practices in planting, laying specific procedures which the farmers are supposed to follow. For example, when to do fertilizer and manure application, when to do pruning, because pruning is also very key to ensure that we provide proper aeration for the plants. And so we follow those with farmers very closely. Yeah? Once we finish the whole growing and agronomic process, we of course there is harvesting, and how we do it is to make sure that the harvested crop is the right one to be harvested in terms of ripeness. Yeah. Once we harvest, of course, there's going to be sorting. Then there's going to be pulping. During pulping, the skin is removed. Yeah. So there's an optimum clearance for the discs and the plates to make sure that you don't injure, but also you remove the skin. After that, of course, now we want to remove the mucilage around the parchment, and that is through fermentation. The classical Kenya, which is basically aerobic and opened, just heap the parchment onto a pile, and then any microbiota that is surrounding will act on the sugars to ferment it into an alcohol. Now we also have an aerobic, which is probably actually 30% of the crop. And why we do that is to maintain the classical, bright acidity of the Kenyan, but also introduce some level of consistency. And the washing brings out that, bright acidity. During drying, we want to make sure that there is even drying of the parchment under the sun. So what they do, the farmers will do, some of them will have greenhouses.
Yes.
Which basically it sort of brings a controlled environment for drying in terms of relative humidity and the airflow exchanges. Yeah.